Call transit September 13th meeting order. Roll call, we have all board members present except for John. Approval of minutes for the August 9th. A motion.
Moving.
Second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded for approval of minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Public comment none. On to Austin.
Transit Commission meeting 9/13/2023. Agenda today, ridership community route fare change. We're a few weeks into that. Still PM change. We're a week into that. Grant timeline, electric bus update, financials. 2024 Dunn County Transit budget requests. Without any questions. Doorstop and Red Cedar saw a nice 22% increase in August versus July. It was pretty light in July compared to the other summer months, down 21% from June. So that was great to see. Community route increased about 117 from July to August, up 14%. But if you look at the amount of rides per day, it was equal. We just had more days of service. And then the Stout route, hard to get much data on this with being one weekend, but I took the numbers yesterday and compared them to 5 days of the first week of last year. And on the day route, we were up 11% this year versus last year. And on the PM route, we were down just a tad. But also it was pretty nice out that whole first week. Ridership, just looking back at the last 3 months, community did well again at 960 in August. In September here, now that Community Saturday will come back. People have been asking about that, so that's been good. 35 riders on the first Saturday back, which is great. Previous years, that was a whole month of rides. So, and then looking up to the right to Doorstop and Red Cedar, sitting at 500, right in the mix, 5th best out of all the years. That is going to tick back up here with now charging for community. Some riders are going to take this again, so there should be a good balance there in the coming months. Community route fare change. This is the fare that we put together last month, $1 or $15 non-elderly 20 ride punch card, 75 cents a ride, or $10 elderly disabled 20 ride punch card is 50 cents a ride. In that first week, we sold 10 cards at 15 for 150 and 10 $10 cards to be 100. And the total goal, for the month is around $500. So that doesn't include any of the dollar fares that we've gotten. So 250 in the first week, obviously that'll taper off when more people get punch cards, but solid week, few complaints. From having to go back to that, but we've made this clear for a month that this was coming, giving every rider a little slip that said, hey, this is coming. So that transparency helped, and it's been good. Students are taking out their IDs, getting everybody back in that habit here sooner than later. It's been good. Still PM route update. This went into effect last Tuesday, where we added the Northtown loop once every hour, the back end of every hour. Only potential concern was that we wouldn't have enough capacity with reducing that, and it has been fine. We are using a large bus right now to Just make sure that with having pretty light data in this first week, but students are starting to utilize the Northtown stops. There's 9 so far up until Tuesday night. So it takes time for things like this to catch on. I expect it only to grow from here.
So when you got the minutes up there, is that minutes from what? Is that 10
That's,
minutes like on Red Cedar from the stout
that's,
classrooms up to the dormitories or?
yeah, yep, so, 4 minutes from 5:56 to 6, and that was just brought up here as well.
Okay,
10 minutes to there, that includes drive time and wait time. So all are sitting pretty good. I mean, we were making this on a normal community route, sitting at 5:33 or 33 minutes after the hour, and that's to get to Walmart by the same time. So we're gaining 3 minutes there, and we're actually a little further north, so
okay.
there's actually pretty, and we're taking Broadway to Northtown instead of Tainter, which saves a lot of time that night, so it's been good, and the bus can actually wait for a few minutes. It's I think pretty good. We'll know more here in a month. We had 1 complaint submitted, but it was exactly from just not knowing the schedule, that the schedule changed, but there's schedules printed and posted in every bus stop. SSA put this out weeks ago. We handed out cards to every individual riding the Stout PM bus of the whole route schedule. So I emailed them the schedule again, and that's that. Grant timeline. Everything submitted to the city last month. The state 5311, that's the federal 5311 that we run through the state, opens here next month. And then the state 8521. We'll be sitting down with Human Services in their meeting coming up here this fall, and that'll be submitted by them. And we're working with them on that. UW Stout, we met here in August, and we'll meet again here soon. Touch base on how it's going so far. Electric bus update. Only thing that's changed here, the test battery should be at their facility. Now with it being after September 8th. This email came in last week. Sorry, that's not updated. It came in about 9/9. 2023 financials bringing us here through August. Saved a little more. 12.7 to the good versus July 65.93 to the good. So that's been good. Before we go to the budget requests for 2024, I did not add a slide in here for staffing. We had a driver ready to be hired, and then he did not take the position, so that will be getting back. And the 2 other applicants did not have their CDLs, so we will be posting that again shortly. 2024 budget request. Anything in yellow is something that's editable by us and not the other powers that be, whether it be IT or accounting. But only thing that's changed here is match these to what 2023 actually came in at, and this is 2022, and match those to 2023 for a slight uptick. Proposed 10% increase for the city subsidy 3, and then the 3% that we matched last year for Stout It's not a 3% increase to next year, but a 3% to match what it actually ended up being this year. For about 11% gain on the total revenue on the bus side. And then 11% on the passenger fares up. That's that 5,000 or to 6,000 that we're expecting to bring in on the community route. Any other big changes here? Brought down the repair and maintenance a little bit. We've spent 7,100 through August. Even tripling that puts us at 22.5, less than 22.5 or so. Fuel we increased from 24,000 to 32.3. Hopefully, if those electric buses come, that hits that right on the dot.
So kind of a dumb question. You don't get no levy money from the county, do you?
No.
Everything is either on your fair or state or federal grants?
Correct. Correct.
Yep.
Yep. So city stout, 85-21. Grant through human services, and then this is a mix of 85-20 and 53-11 state and federal.
Okay.
The top one there. So other than that, you put them together, net zero, a wash. Still some good buffers in here. The full printout is on the last page of our sheets. For any of the ones that I did not snippet here, but most of them are uneditable from my perspective when it comes to salaries and wages and everything like that. It would just be based on what's ever voted on by the county board for the year.
So the big catch up is fuel, obviously. It's the.
Yep.
And then
That
you
and
drop down your maintenance and repair,
to-
which can also could happen, blow it all apart too. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the one factor that I know that's gonna happen is 24,000 isn't gonna cut it, you know,
Right.
30,000 didn't cut it this year.
Yeah.
But,
And then the city, we don't know for sure that's finalized yet, right?
correct, we can. That one is,
What was that?
11/20,
Yeah.
council adoption. 10/26 for presentation to city council.
Okay.
So.
That's
That's,
like you said, to get the democracy of that. Smooth some stuff out.
yep, that and
That
that.
repair bills too.
Yeah, repair,
I
yeah,
mean,
take some time.
Those are full warranties.
Yeah.
Those should have bumper to bumper warranties for
right.
a long time.
Yeah.
Powertrain or battery warranties for, I think. This is off the cuff, but at least 5 years.
Oh,
So, and with how we're running these buses right now. We have a 2017 that's got 130,000 on it, right? It still looks almost brand new. That's gonna get through its full life cycle. To be able to be retired before it rusts out.
Yeah.
Compared to the 2011s that are still sitting, rusted out. Would not, you know,
Enough
they have enough
miles.
miles, but barely.
barely.
So,
So they reach a certain mileage and then you can't run them anymore for public use.
you are allowed to
Okay.
dispose of them or put them on auction. It was 150 in 5 years. Now it's 207 years.
Yeah.
And right now we have a 2015 with 70,000. The stout buses get used 8 months out of the year.
Yep.
But there's only one stout bus. 2 big ones are sitting there, which is great for backups, but
Just off the top of your head, the projected warranty on the electric buses, especially the major components that function the bus. Do you think it's 5 years?
I think so, at least.
So within that 5-year window. They're probably gonna get the mileage on them that you have to retire them or. consider retiring them?
Hope so.
Okay.
We'll know so much more after we can get them on the road and see what they can actually do for range or summer versus winter. But do what we can to get miles on them and put them on as many routes as we can without deterring from
Yeah, you just
capacity
hear-
or,
You know, you just hear some of the stories about people having to replace the main power source.
yep,
You know, and what that costs and.
Yep.
So compared to.
Yeah, 7 to 8 years, they say in their lives.
Get them out of the battery.
But the other day, it's the same frame, so it's
Yeah.
the same rust.
yeah, same,
Yeah, that's the.
That's a killer.
yes.
Well,
same.
I mean, I guess what I'm headed to is if the power source will outlast the metal, you know, the. If it'll rust before it needs power source.
Then it doesn't, oh yeah.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
if Dustin would provide us with that nice undercarriage wash like they got here, it'd pay for itself pretty quick. That thing is awesome. It's got a fire hose attached to it.
Well, I think it maybe if you know, take them to dinner once in a while, maybe let you buzz through quick or something.
I've already said.
I said, well, how's it for you for the winter? They can't do that outside in the winter. so,
Yeah.
but yeah. No, and keeping that salt off just helps immensely. That's what I got.
Is there a big charge to like recycle those batteries once they're done? Like wore out, I wonder? Cause you hear a lot of stories, either good or bad about that.
Yeah, or that question on the board meeting just about, shipping and stuff. That's what they've dealt with on big batteries on trains and everything else.
All right. Any other questions on the report?
Oh,
Oh, you got more?
no,
Oh,
just gotta make sure we hit the agenda item.
yeah, no, we're gonna go through next. Caught up? Okay. Any other questions on the report? Otherwise, number 7, consideration action with committee approval of 2024 ECT budget request.
I'll make that motion if we approve it.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Second.
Write that down, license.
We're good.
Okay,
Good.
any discussion on the budget request? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget request passed. 8, consideration resolution none. Next meeting is October 11th, same place, same time. Otherwise, we are adjourned. We'll call the highway September 13th meeting to order. Roll call, we have all the board here present. Approval of minutes for the August 9th meeting.
I make a motion. Second.
Motion been made and seconded for the minutes. Any discussion on August 9th meeting? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Public comment, none,
No public comment.
nothing for me. Staff reports on the Dustin.
Turn it over to Brent for
Okay, out in the field, we are currently today. We're paving up in the town of New Haven, 1.8 miles. We'll be there today and tomorrow. We're currently working on County Road Q and W up by Downing. Blading, we just pulverized that yesterday. We pulverized a couple townships with Hobbs Construction last week and this week. Also, we're currently working on County Road Z, blading that, getting that ready for paving. We're prepping that, all the intersections. We're working on that next week also. We've started on mowing some county ditches. Got a couple guys out today. We're also spray patching an exit 45 with our. Yeah, that's it.
Never ending.
It's never ending there. You're right. You know, the face shows it all. We've got a fair amount of work left to do until winter hits. Next week, we're gonna be working out on the interstate. There's right at the county line by St. Croix. There's a slough, a steep bank. It's giving way and the state wants us to go out there and fix that. So we're going out there on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, if it takes that long. We gotta dig out a spot that's giving way. It's about 40 feet wide. We gotta go down about 130 feet, take that out and then tie that into the keyway down there. We gotta match that in with riprap. Then we also have another one on 29, just past where the old dump was out there. Transfer station. That we'll be doing next week. We finished County Road B out there. That is painted on the center line. All the shouldering's done, the paving is done. That got completed yesterday. I would like to work on some more shouldering on the county roads. Obviously, there's areas of patching. I'd like to get some overlays done yet before the year's over. Or the summer's over. We have concrete to do out front here yet. Probably mid-October, I'm hoping to get that. We have a riprap job that we gotta do. It's washing out up on W just south of S. So we have plenty of work to do and working with Monarch I was hoping to get the plant next week, but it looks like more like the week of the 25th to go down to Z. And then I'm hoping the first week of October, first and second week of October, finish Q and W. I'm hoping before the second week that it's finished, but it'll be tight. Working with those guys to get the plant. So, did I miss anything? I'm sure I missed one thing.
We are scheduled the second week in October for the
Yes.
salt sand operation.
Yep, salt sand in the second week of October. We also have a safety meeting somewhere around,
The 3rd of October.
so that'll take a day away. There's a couple other odd jobs. We have some salt sheds. I don't know when we're gonna. Wait to hear from Dustin on when we start working on that. We do have some work on our big salt shed. We're gonna put some siding on. That was funded by the state, correct? There are plenty of state projects to do yet.
So when you talk about the Colfax facility that's getting paid by the state, that's the one out in 170 then? You call the
Yes.
Colfax one?
Correct,
Okay.
yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's patching, mowing. I mean, there's plenty to do there. Just gotta find enough guys to go do it while we're doing all this stuff and trying to finish up at the end.
Are you gonna do all the county roads more? Try to.
Correct. Yep.
Good. It's all I hear is complaints.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say.
I know that. We did spraying last year. I know that's probably gonna be a discussion on what we're gonna do at some point here between Dustin and I and Isaac and Kenny and you guys. And I know last year it worked really well. This year, I don't think it worked as well.
No.
I don't know if it was too dry or something early on and then all of a sudden. But this year it did not work as well as last year. So something we're gonna have to talk about and discuss on that, which way we wanna go. I mean, obviously. We're trying to save money, but when we get mowing, then we have breakdowns too, but. I know it looks nicer when it's mowed.
Mhm.
And it's safer. This time of year.
Yeah,
The deer pop out of there?
Yes.
You
Oh,
don't see them?
no, you're right. But do you guys have any questions, anything else? You guys have anything today? I don't know if you guys.
So at what point can you not put so much on base course on because the approaches are all, instead of being level, all of a sudden they start to go uphill? And I noticed that your shouldering out there must have took a lot of material, because you're getting up higher to kind of level it off.
Well, yeah, we did add to that road.
Well, you did
No,
the
we didn't
blacktop.
add, we didn't add to that.
Yeah,
road.
but just the blacktop, you brought it up another 4 inches or
So 4.5 inches.
4.5 inches,
Yeah.
you know, and you look at all the approaches,
Yeah.
instead of being level, oh, they're starting to come up a little bit now.
Yeah. And then we go in and when we shoulder that, and we go back and we gotta blend that in just to make
Yeah.
sure that approach is decent enough to come out. So all those driveways got,
And the
it
only
was a
other,
lot of gravel.
the only other question I have is that contract on the north side of 94, the Packer Drive. There's a long distance from Packer Drive to where the blacktop started. Now, is that part of the contract then?
Yes.
Even though it's a couple hundred yards like north of Packer Drive.
Yeah, where we took off this year for our project, is the spot that they're gonna end
Oh,
next
okay,
year.
okay, so that's part of the contract and.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I was wondering, boy, that's a long distance from,
Yeah, and when we say our distances, it's usually to the nearest
oh,
intersection.
okay,
That's the way we do it. We don't say it's 300 feet north of Packer Drive. It just
okay.
makes it simpler.
No, is
for
that gonna
everybody.
be concrete up to where that's gonna still be blacktop on north of the.
Yeah, so
railroad.
basically it'll be concrete up to Packer Drive and then north of Packer Drive,
You
it'll
just
be
leave it.
asphalt,
Yeah.
just to reduce the cost.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And I'll have Dan go into the shop operations, what his staff is working on.
Okay, right now, of course, we're working on the general preventive maintenance, services and tires and stuff like that we always have to do. We're working on plow trucks and plow equipment, yeah, we're pretty much through everything, which is good. Probably ahead of the game a little bit. Still no news on the new truck chassis yet, still waiting. One thing, I guess the diesel fuel, is still at about $3.50 a gallon, which was like last month. But the gasoline has came up to $3.50 a gallon and matched it. You know, so both of them now from June is $1 a gallon more. You know, which really hurts. You know, that's we did receive our 3 new 2024 Chevy 3500 heavy duty trucks, which they came super fast. We're currently working on upfitting them with lights and radio and stuff like that. So it won't be too long and we'll be able to get them all field. We're also working on finalizing an agenda for the fall safety meeting, which is October 3rd. Some of the topics we're going to be working on, we need to get our CDL drivers all tanker endorsements. Now that the state is, looking to use a lot more salt brine, and you go to the bigger tanks, well, if you get over 1,000 gallons, you have to have a tanker endorsement on your CDL. So that just adds one more thing to it, but we're hoping to maybe try to do some of that, in cooperation with our safety meeting. I've been talking to the DOT and they just sent me some information yesterday that we have to have, the guys have to go right down to the DOT in order to do it. We can't do the training here. That's what their rules are. So basically it's just the time. It's only a $15 charge to get the endorsement, but it's the time that is involved in getting it. But we're working on that because we need all our truck drivers to have that. Along with that, we're going to do some tire training for installing tires on our trucks in the wintertime for ice and stuff. A lot of the younger guys have never done that, tire chains are not a big thing. We've got the state patrol coming with, talk about load securement rules and regulations and stuff like that, which will be good. We also have Force America coming. They're the ones that supply our plow controllers, all the electronics and stuff. And they'll go through and do training for the guys for that. And then of course we're doing our chainsaw safety training, which takes about 4 hours a day. One other thing I wanted to say, we finished our, it's a fully automated truck underbody wash that's sitting out here. The guys are using it now. I think that's really gonna help, as some of our rust issues and stuff, especially, in the winter time and the fall. But it works real nice now just for getting the dirt and everything else off the trucks. And it's kind of neat, you just drive over it and it turns on and you drive off and it shuts off. So if you guys are interested after the meeting, if you wanna, look at it.
And that was custom built.
Yeah, it was all
Dan
built.
and staff customized it.
Yeah, it was all built. And we're just using the city's water pressure. We have it set up so in the wintertime, we've got a system in the shop to hook onto it, so we can have it inside the shop. We don't know how that's gonna work out yet. Right now, we've got it out by the fire hydrant, by the fence there to keep, so it runs down the drain across the road, which it does real well. Keeping the dirt and stuff off the road.
Are you gonna have some pretty big sand traps though, like inside the building? Cause you think be a lot of stuff coming off those trucks.
Yeah, we do. The building itself is built with a full, all the way full length sand trap, pretty much. It's a trench, so deep.
We gotta clean them all.
And then along with that goes into a catch basin then, so it's another sand trap before it actually goes out. So it's pretty good that way, other than, and we do have a Vactron, a sucker unit. We use it quite often to clean, right now and stuff, so we can do it ourselves. We used to have to get a hold of City Menominee and they would come in with their big Vactron and do it for us, but now we're able to do it ourselves, which is a whole lot handier, yeah, than before. So, we're trying to promote keeping our trucks cleaner, and keeping the rust off them. That's a big thing. It's a big struggle that we have.
It's hard to get to those areas, and with that.
Yeah.
It really,
Yeah,
pretty good pressure.
yeah,
does sound, looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it works really good.
we are working on, at the end of it, we have a pressure gauge.
You got a pressure gauge on it, and I think he's leading into that.
Yeah, we have a pressure gauge on it. When we have it next to the building, we have a water supply, in our building that's comes with a 4-inch main. And then we've got a valve, it's an air valve in the shop, that turns off and on, that runs it. And we've got a little over 60 PSI after everything is coming out of it, at the final part of the bed of it. But when we moved it over to the fire hydrant, it only has like 42 PSI, or right around 40. Still does a good job, but it doesn't have the hit that the 60 has, when the water volume is just, it's just amazing how much, it'll really clean. There's 40 3/16 holes in this 12-foot pipe that spray up. And it really does a good job. City Menominee was here yesterday and looked over a bit, because I told them that we were low on pressure and stuff, and we're still trying to figure it out. And I believe it's in the water meter itself. They didn't think so, but it's a different water meter than what we have inside the shop, and I think it's restricting the flow.
Did they put a gauge on the hydrant just to see what it was when they opened it up?
No,
But that's what that pressure would be, is if you did that.
yeah,
That'd be interesting to see if we had a gauge.
I think in my mind, what it is it's not enough flow to handle as much water that's coming out of the holes to maintain that pressure. Because the more you open up, the less
Yeah.
pressure you're gonna have,
Sometimes those hydrants, I know sometimes those hydrants just don't get that amount of pressure.
Yeah, and he said there should be like 80 PSI, and so it should go up and
I
then,
think it'd be higher, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
what a hydrant's there for,
yeah,
but
and
no fires, right?
right, and he did check the shut off valve. I know down on that,
On how far you're away from
yeah, on
Water
the
tower.
fire hydrant itself, the main shut off going to the fire hydrant. And that was fully open. Excuse me, but this afternoon, when I get some time, I want to do a little more experiment on it. Yeah, like I said, we're pretty proud of it. The guys did a good job, and
Cause I was always thinking that there's more pressure right by the tower. but it's actually at the very end, because you keep on getting smaller and smaller pipes, as you get to the end, there's more, should be more pressure at the end of, and you guys are quite a ways away. Is your tower then at the fairgrounds?
That's probably the closest one.
I think it's all one pressure zone
Here's
on
one
this
right
side of
there.
the city. For Menominee. So it's all the same.
Oh, it is.
Not necessarily always, but
I think on this side of town.
it
it
could
is.
be, but. I know it does vary. I mean, I've heard, I mean, I used to do that stuff, but it would vary on how close you were to the water tower. Used to, I don't know if it does anymore, but.
Right.
So it's all based on ground elevation in relation to the elevation of the tower. Change the lower you are from the tower, the higher the pressure. And then it also has to do with the size of pipes coming from the tower to the.
Right, and he said it was a 6-inch main coming to that fire hydrant, which should be more than sufficient. You know, and like from there, we've got the 4-inch coming into the shop. Main, you know, and then it's goes into the water meter, and then it's reduced to 3-inch. And then we're running full 3-inch right to a underbody wash. So we are big, you know, and the bigger you are, the, you know, of course, the more flow, and then the more, you know, the lesser amount that you take from that flow, you're gonna have more pressure. I think that's, in my feelings, anyway. I'm gonna take the meter off it and just try it and see, so if we can. And of course, we have to have a meter on it, because they wanna know how much water we're using.
Sure.
This was the only one that they had available. He said, and they are kind of expensive, but next year, you know, I mean, we can, if it works real well, which it seems to be working real well, we could try to maybe, if it is a meter, get a different style meter or whatever, so it doesn't restrict the flow. But yeah, it's kind of a neat setup, and like I said, it's easy, so the guys use it. I mean, all they have to do is drive over it. And they drive over, it turns on, and once they drive on, it shuts off. We've got some photo eyes on it, so when it breaks a beam when they start pulling on, and then when they drive off, it shuts it off.
I'm thinking Fridays between 8 and 9 AM. County Highway board members can run their vehicles across there this winter. Try it out, see if it's gonna really work.
Somehow you gotta get a code to get into our gate.
Hmm.
Well, we'll figure. We know some guys.
Just press the button.
We know some guys.
Guy that knows a guy.
But I did mention to Austin that he can use this, so it's
Yeah,
not,
he was pretty impressed with it.
he was talking about having Dan make one for them over there, but. Why not just use
If I
ours?
should fit in their shop, if our truck should fit in there, I'd love to put it in their wash.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if our trucks fit in there though.
Their doors are pretty narrow, and I think with our wings and stuff, we probably have some.
Accidents.
Yeah, we don't want those.
Yeah,
That would be handy over there.
it would be, it would be. But
Whenever you guys find money growing on that tree to make a nice wash. bay.
yeah,
I would agree.
so we're trying, you know, trying to do the best we can. You know, and the newer trucks are just working out fantastic. I mean, we're running 20 trucks today. We run them yesterday. And again, you know, we got one left here that we're working on. That's a lot of trucks running, a lot of tires running. I think there's 600 tires on those 20 trucks. Sure. You know, and
I don't like to say it, but we've had pretty good luck.
we have,
I like saying it.
you know, and that's a fact, if we can, you know, if we could try to roll these trucks, you know, get some equity out of them yet, you know, and put it towards the new ones, and you know, we're not spending all that maintenance costs, and besides that, we're not losing the production from the guys that will go around, you know, so it's a win-win all the way around. But the problem is these trucks have went up, you know, in the last 3 years, you know, 100,000 a piece, and that's tough. That's a tough inflation, you know, go from 200,000 to 300,000. So I don't know. And again, trying to get them, you know, we're having issues with that. Hopefully we can get that resolved. So anyway, you guys got any questions at all for me?
So all the trucks are diesel. How about the pickups? Are they all gas in?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got all gas pickups, so it works out better. Really, a diesel and a pickup is nice, but the cost of them and the emissions and everything else, you know, it's cheaper to run gas. You know, and I think. Everything else costs a whole lot more in servicing and, you know, and with all the emission stuff with the cost of the GPS and everything that goes along with it. So, yeah. But now they've got gas up, which I don't understand why, you know.
Because they're going from the summer blend to the winter blend. That's the big, don't make sense at all. That's what they're saying.
That's gonna be used somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is working well and we're, like I said, a little ahead of schedule as far as our winter stuff, and it won't be long.
No, I felt like it's morning.
Yeah, you know, so.
I love these fall mornings.
No, it's nice, but I agree, but I don't like what's coming.
Yeah.
None of us do, but
Nobody looks forward to it.
I don't like the 100-degree days either.
No,
Yeah, you know, and we're really fortunate, we've got a really good mechanic staff out there right now that, you know, they're a dedicated bunch and they do a great job, so we're fortunate there.
I was gonna say, you know, these trucks all running, you must be doing some decent maintenance on all of those, so.
Yeah,
They're definitely got a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, when you start talking all the, you know, trailers and trucks and pickups and Terrastars and equipment, you know, there's just a lot of stuff. But yeah, they do a great job. Anything else?
And I'll just add to, obviously the shop operations here is, as you noticed, we added a little bit of concrete. We did a couple panels out front here. We had some buckling going on and I was tired of seeing people trip over it, so we replaced that. We did put a little entrance in here for our fire escape route. Obviously, we have to do a better job in the winter months to try to maintain that. Typically, we just let the snow pile up. Well, sometimes if we need to, we'll have to get out sometime. And we put a little concrete pad if we were going to do that. So our crews did that in-house, so it wasn't a big cost. So just wanted to share that because I'm sure you all see it walking in. So. Other than that, that's all we have kind of for the highway and shop operations.
You don't have any questions? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That'll be your later. Make sure you guys eat all those donuts. I don't need them bringing them back to me.
I guess we'll transition into our engineering and project updates. Obviously, our County Road Z project, Brent mentioned from C to 90th, we finished hauling all the base on that roadway. Haas completed the pulverizing. And then we are prepping it currently for paving it September 25th. There's two pictures of the current condition of the roadway, which is in the process of being prepped and ready for pavement. The County Road B project from 1229 to Packer Drive. I wish this project was done and complete so I could stop pulling my hair out, but so we're currently dealing with 3 communication lines that need to be required to be bored underneath the railroad. 2 out of the 3 are for the traffic signals that are going to be installed at the intersection there, and then 1 is for the street lighting. The 2 that are for the traffic signals are compensable, so that means it's part of the project that the DOT and the railroad had put together prior to our project happening. So there's no cost to that. The unfortunate thing is the private line for the signal or the street lighting have to jump through a little bit more hoops to go through the railroad's requirements. So they are requiring a third-party observation and survey to be conducted during the installation. These costs are not cheap, they're hourly based. Just to have them mowed into the job site is, I believe, $1,500. They charge a per day 8-hour rate of I can't recall what it was, it's like $1,700. We have no idea how long it's going to take. I've been communicating with the DOT on this and a couple of the contractors that have had similar situations to this, and they've spent over hundreds of thousands of dollars. Working with DOT, right now, I'm not, doing anything, that the that the Union Pacific Railroad wants to do. I'm working with DOT, I'm also working with the design engineer if there's a way. If we can figure out what's gonna be more cost effective, if we eliminate that line and we just have a power source north of the tracks versus south of the tracks. They won't be linked together, but we'll just have two different power sources.
And this is for like street lights.
That's just a street lighting,
It's not running,
not the
lights
traffic
for the
signals.
traffic or
No.
anything.
That's just street lighting.
How many lights do you have to the north?
I believe right now they have that designed for 4.
You said there's none right
But
now.
there's none now.
No, there's one right at
Is there?
Packard Drive.
Oh, there, okay.
Yeah, there's one right at Packard Drive, but we're gonna put more lighting in that area. Based on KL Engineering's design.
So can it, is there any way it can be like a solar thing, it's self-sufficient light? It's got the little panel on top.
I would say maybe as a backup, but I don't know if that'd be.
Cause I have one on the corner of my house and it's awesome. It just sticks on my house.
You know,
So the other option is basically having a power source on each end of that, so you wouldn't have to go under.
Yes, the
Which might-
unfortunate thing is there would be probably some additional redesign costs to do that. Right now, I'm not going down that road, we're working with the DOT on having this line being compensable. They are saying it is. Union Pacific is saying otherwise, and like I said, it's, the Union Pacific Railroad does what they want to do. They tell you gotta do this, do that, and you gotta jump through their hoops, and at the end of the day, they just hope you abide by it, so.
And there's
There-
no way that you could go through like the same, together two,
They had to be separate.
you gotta be separate.
Yep. Yeah, so like I said, it's a work in progress. Currently, the project is scheduled to be let here. The first phase, I should say, the north phase is scheduled to be advertised here starting October, the second week in October. We will be advertising that for 3 weeks per the state's LRIP reimbursement requirements that we are required to advertise it for 3 weeks. The DOT portion of that project is the south portion from I-94 south. That will be let here, I believe it's November 12th. So we will know more information once that comes in on what these project costs are gonna actually be versus our estimated costs.
So these are 80-20 then, basically?
So the south portion is 80-20. The north portion is we just get $1 million reimbursement once the project is complete.
Okay.
The north phase is estimated at 4 million. We would get $1 million when it's done from the DOT.
So does the city have any investment in this?
Currently none.
Cause the city line goes right to the center there, right?
Right now, the agreement was the city put a large portion of that when it got turned into 4 lanes.
Oh, okay.
And this county was responsible for maintaining it and correcting it if it need to be replaced.
Mhm.
I am gonna be working with Corp Council on trying to come up with some agreement on the street lighting, on who's gonna pay for what. Currently, the city maintains the street lighting at Quick Trip intersection there at 3M.
Yep.
So they do all the maintenance for it. I wanna continue doing that. So that's a work in progress on coming up with an actual written agreement instead of just a verbal. Who pays for what? So we will be working with Dave Schofield with the city, as well as Corporation Council to come up with an agreement, so.
So the north sides keep costing more money, and that's the only part we don't got 80-20. That's what you're trying to tell us.
And like I said, I this third party
Exactly what I-
observation, I don't know what it's gonna cost.
Right, no.
For us, I'm not saying us, but as a contractor to bore a line underneath the railroad shouldn't take more than a day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we'd have to outweigh. They're gonna cost us $3 grand to have an observation versus re-engineering and having power sources, and that might be 10 grand. You know, so,
Exactly.
So do you have to pay the railroad any money for going under it? Well, you don't.
we did, so we had to pay a utility permit that was approved,
Okay,
and that was $1,500.
too bad. I know when they built the Colfax Fire Station, they had to go underneath the railroad there too, and that was, they charged some pretty big bucks just for the right to go underneath it.
With water, right?
I think it was
Yeah.
water,
Yep.
which would be a bigger van or.
Yeah, and then they probably had to purchase an easement and all that stuff, which, yeah, gets more costly than what we're doing.
Yeah, I think you gotta bore inject those bigger lines too, so that's probably expensive.
Yep.
Crossing.
Yeah, they have some pretty significant requirements that Union Pacific does, so. To keep going on, our County Road B project, from Packer Drive to Double B, that was, a pavement replacement project, that has obviously finished. Monarch, paving did complete the paving of that, I think it went well. There were times where, yes, it was lagging on, but, due to the heat, they do not allow their employees to work over 93 degrees.
Oh, really?
That was something new that was implemented this year, so obviously when this project started, we had that pretty good significant heat wave.
Yeah.
So there was days there where they paved, and then there was 2-3 days they didn't pave. So it is finished. We did have Farner Asphalt come in and mark center line, while we were shouldering, just, for safety purposes. So that is complete. The shouldering is complete. And Farner will be coming back, is it Thursday? Sometime this week,
End of this week, yeah.
to finish the edge line and the turn lanes, and all the stop bars that are required for this project. All in all, I think that it went very, very well. Haven't had any complaints. The only questions I get asked is when is the next phase gonna get done? And I don't know if they mean north or south. I don't know what we did, so.
Both.
Either way, they're not great. But yeah, very, very successful, and hopefully it lasts, my career.
Is it a smooth ride?
Nice ride.
It is honestly one of the smoothest rides I've had.
That's nice.
And then Monarch did a good job. Even the joints and stuff, you can't even feel the
Yeah,
joints.
they're pretty nice.
So,
That's what I was gonna ask, if, if you were really happy with the job they did, so it stays sealed up and moisture can't creep in and buckle with our temperatures.
and that's
And
why
I'm just looking at the picture on the left here, with where the conjoin the two
Yep,
lanes.
the joints. Yep.
And, I know that's a important factor, keeping that water from getting under there with our weather.
Yep.
Freezing and thawing and.
Yeah, and we did do a different mix on this, so this was an MT mix, so it's for heavier traffic. And we did have more oil, less air voids put into it. Typically, the DOT average is 4%. We had 3% air voids on this. And we did have the surface layer had an actual different oil for reduced temperatures. It's a 5834 oil, so it's 34 below zero is what it's rated for. Typically the other oil is 28 below. You wouldn't think it'd make a huge difference, but it does. So yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably the Cadillac of materials that was put on that road. And
That was the busiest part. I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
say blacktop for blacktop.
so, but like I said, hopefully it lasts forever, and I'd like to say take a picture of it, because it's probably not gonna look like that in a few years. But our Q&W project by Downing, crews wrapped that project up pretty quickly. I think we had that whole phase done in less than a month. I can't recall what it was, about 1.5 miles worth of road, I think total, wasn't maybe 1.25 miles, wasn't much. But we got all the culverts, shoulder widening, the reconstruction of Q&W there in the bottom right-hand corner. That's what the intersection looks like today. Haas was in there yesterday pulverizing it, so that is complete. We are looking at shaping and blading it and paving it by early October is the plan. All in all, I think the project went well. I was there yesterday to get those pictures, and yeah, it's dump truck after dump truck is still going through there to the milestone quarry that's on W or in St. Croix County.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So yeah, they're truck after truck, and we have had a few complaints with the dust and all that, and from locals in Downing, and trying to appease that, and it's just unfortunate that you can't keep up with watering it. We can't be there.
Simrons did a good job of watering out here.
Yep.
On B. I mean, they constantly watered and kept the dust down really nice. I want to point that out before I forgot.
Yep.
They did really water that down really nice. I mean,
Nope, I think Monter did a great job of
Cause I think when they
controlling that
water,
job.
it's keep the dust down, but it also
Right.
helps compaction.
Compaction.
yeah, but I mean, it really did keep the dust down. They were watering it a lot.
So why did you have like Monarch do the grinding of it? Cause we got our own
Us.
pulverizer, right?
No,
Oh, we don't?
no,
Oh, okay.
and we don't want one. There's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
I thought the township got the county at one time. Did they own one at one time?
So the towns go under our contract, so
Oh.
we contracted out to a consultant to do
Okay.
it. And then the towns go under our contract,
Okay,
so we
That's what it was.
we put it out to bid every year, and Haas had our contract this year. And we do a square yard price,
okay.
no matter where it is in the county. So,
Hmm.
works out great.
So how many plants does Monarch have? Hundreds?
Under what?
The one, we utilize 3 of them.
Okay,
So the closest here is in Menominee. They have one in Eau Claire on Highway 85, and 37, and then they have a plant in New Richmond.
Mm.
So we're actually hauling out of New Richmond today for a town in New Haven project.
really?
Like Connor,
Well, that far.
Cause it's closer.
it's actually
or-
closer,
It's closer.
and
Yeah.
they're coming out of Menominee, Monarch is, and we don't wanna have to,
What are you doing in New Haven?
we're paving a road.
For township or? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, that's what I said.
Yeah, pretty close to a 2-mile stretch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Road we're paving for them.
I was gonna say, with all this blacktop, we're going up to W and down to Z. I mean, our trucks are getting a lot of miles on this year. I mean, that's a long ways to travel from any of these places.
Yeah, we put a lot of miles on them.
I mean, that's a lot of miles.
All the base from Z was from our Fender quarry in the town of Lucas, so that was all truck there.
I'm just saying the blacktop too. Oh, that's a long haul.
Yep.
A lot of long hauls this year.
Well, the B project, you can't get any closer.
No,
It's great.
But
Literally,
our
it's
other
on
projects
the
are
job.
kind of like in the corners that are. I mean,
And that's typical.
right, but I mean, that's a lot of.
Yeah.
So with all the shouldering that we're doing, do we have to contract now to grind some more lime rock out there for shouldering material? When we get our stockpile getting down, where it's getting time to,
I spoke with our foreman who was out there loading these trucks, and he said we have approximately 12 to 15,000 tons, which is enough for doing our maintenance that we need.
okay,
But we are gonna have to look at the possibility of crushing next year. Won't be this year. That's a possibility.
okay.
We'll have to evaluate what we're gonna use for our own projects. And that's kind of contingent upon what we're gonna do with the budget and.
So do you try to like crush enough for a 2-year supply, or is there
Yes.
a certain tonnage, or just for 2 years?
And it all depends. I mean, if we have a bigger project that we know we're gonna use 30,000 tons of material, yeah, we might
Okay,
crush a little bit more, but on average, about 50,000 tons is what we crush by any.
so when you crush, I'm just kind of curious, you separate like some of the bigger rocks for riprap when you do
Yes.
it, or you do, okay?
Yeah,
They have
we'll
some screens that separate the,
bigger riprap is basically, we don't have the capability, even when we had our own crushing equipment, we didn't have the capability of making the big stuff, so
Okay.
it was all crushed by basically an excavator with a chipping unit on the front.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't make a lot of that, but 4 to 6 and smaller is what we typically make.
Okay.
Otherwise, we purchase anything bigger from Milestone. So, County Road D and G project, Core, I just want to give you an update on that. Core Engineering is continuing to work on that project designed by Jake's Pioneer up there. We completed soil borings, county crews went out there and, basically augered 5 feet in the ground in the existing roadway. To determine the soil conditions and the depth of the existing base and asphalt thickness. First observations is the soil structure is not ideal. It's more of a silty loam, sandy, it's like more of a black sand, I would want to say. And no base. Literally, there is no base on that roadway. It's basically asphalt paved on sand. The asphalt thickness varies in spots because of overlays that were done year after year after year. But that information will be put into a pavement design that Core will be completing. And that will make a determination on how much base and asphalt thickness that we need to put on that road when we do construct it. Based on our observations, I would anticipate we are gonna have to add a significant amount of base on that. Structurally, obviously, there's a lot of agricultural equipment and that's in that area on County Road G, just south of Jake's there. Because that is included with this project as well, to go by Steyer's Farm. I don't know if anybody's familiar by intersection of W and G north, so
A little bit there.
just a little bit. But that right now is scheduled for 2025 for construction, so Core will be working over the winter and probably the first half of next year to get this put together, and then we will probably have to buy right away for that project. So Isaac finished the bridge hab reports for I believe we had 7 of them. 7 bridges, 6 or 7, I don't recall. 5 of them actually got approved by the state to go forward with filling out applications for replacement. 1 was in the town of Colfax, did not. That was a town structure. Due to the DOT conducting a resistograph testing on the timber piles, that came back in better condition than they thought, based on visual inspections. So Isaac is basically working on the applications or has them ready to go. I need to review it before we send them off to the state. We have the estimated costs to complete the construction of these structures. 4 county, 3 town and village bridges, so 7 bridges total. That would be for the 2025-2029 cycle, which the applications are due October 27th. This funding source is 80-20 minimum. There is, if they are or if they're minor collectors or less, so basically a local road or minor collectors, it's 100% funded. That is probably majority of those bridges, but not all. Unfortunately, the most expensive one up there, that what we call the high bridge on D, just north of Tainer Lake up there. As you can see, that's a pretty significant bridge. It's not a simple span bridge. The big issue with that particular bridge is the slopes are straight up and down and they're eroding. The abutment has no piling. It's basically spread footings, and when that erodes, eventually the bridge goes. So as you can see the picture there, we've tried to put riprap in there, but when you got straight up and down slopes, you can't do anything with it. So it does qualify for replacement. We did select heirs. We had a statement of qualifications that was submitted for our review. Basically, no dollar amounts can be given at that time. We select them based on their qualifications on who would do the design. Due to the significance of that bridge, we have elected them to fill out the application and complete an estimate. Cause we can't even tell you how much that bridge is gonna be. I would say first dollar amount that I would be guessing is 3 million plus. To complete that bridge. So, as of right now, at a minimum, we would be on the hook for 20%, but we don't have numbers, so I don't want to get anybody too excited about it yet. But that will be, just to let you know, we have 7 bridges in the next 5 years that potentially could be replaced. Down the road here. Each one of those bridges, I'll just give a little bit of hint, the one up there in the upper right-hand corner, that's the one right in Sand Creek on County Road B, I, and M, where everything comes together by the gas station. That one qualifies for replacement. The one on the bottom right is on Double H, just north of Elk Mound, which used to be a DOT bridge, that was Highway 12 at one time. But now that's our bridge because it's considered Double H. And then the other bridge on the bottom left is a 2-cell box culvert on County Road J in the town of Sherman. So those are the 4 that qualify on the county level, county roadway system. There's 3 on the town system and 1 for the village of Ridgeland, Downing, and Sherman. So there's 3 of them there, that we would be local sponsors for. The county would be sponsoring the project. Estimates for each one of those structures varies between $600,000 and $700,000. So potentially 100% on some, 80 on others. Any questions? Just wanted to mention, just give you an update for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that I mentioned from previous. So St. Croix, Eau Claire, and Dunn County were awarded a $500,000 grant to complete a safety analysis for each county. And when I say safety analysis, is basically determining problematic intersections, known crash data, crash history, problematic areas in the county. And this would only be for county and state intersections, basically, and roadways, not the state roadways, but just when it intersects with the state system and the county system. No towns, no cities, no nothing will be put into that analysis.
So kind of like being 12 or down here.
Yes.
Or double P in 25, where there's just another accident got rear-ended.
That's gonna happen. Just not
That
sooner
is,
than later.
I know, but that is such a, God.
Which one?
Turning by Cedar Falls off by Air Tech there.
Oh, yeah.
Not to come down that hill, but
No, it's just right there where you turn, but it's just another accident just happened there. Somebody got rear-ended, I know.
Were they turning in to go on double B?
They were turning to go to J actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably left.
Yeah, and a car came from behind and wham, smashed them up.
but it's wide open here, you got good sight vision.
So much
Okay.
traffic,
That's
nobody.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although it helps having the stoplights up by Walmart, so it is gonna break once in a while.
Yeah, right, to get
Traffic.
across there, but like I say, when you're trying to turn, there are
Yeah.
people that.
Basically what needs to happen there is turn lane.
Something.
Yeah.
So I have seen the plans for it, the preliminary
Roundabout.
plans, so they are doing both double D intersections at 25, going to Cedar Falls and then by the implement dealer. Basically, it's gonna be offset turn lanes, so you're gonna kind of have a painted median where the turn lanes are out further, so you can kind of see around it and all that.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
That's probably the cheapest way of doing it. Otherwise, the other only option is possibly a roundabout,
Yeah.
which I would love to see, but
Most people
some
would on there.
people don't.
I'll be
want to
honest,
see 'em, but-
everybody I talk to says they wish there was a roundabout there, because the traffic's just. When you're going 55 and people turning and cutting in front of you, it's just, it's a zoo to see.
Yeah, so I think the DOT's way of doing it is appropriate. It's most cost effective, and see how that goes
Yeah,
first.
I agree.
I believe it's scheduled for 2026. 5 or 6, somewhere. It's a little ways out yet.
Yeah.
I think it's 25.
But that's what they're doing, is trying to study that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's what we'd be studying. Caveat to this is obviously we are required to address the issues, I'm not saying all the issues, but we have to at least apply for some type of grant or some type of funding or fix local funding to fix these issues. Which that's the big reason why we need to do this anyway. I mean, the county needs to know where our problematic areas are. We tentatively know in general. But now we have a leg to stand on with this to try to get extra additional funding.
Right.
That's the big thing. I have spoke with the other commissioners in St. Croix and Eau Claire. We are looking at the possibility of, once this is complete and determined, maybe our best approach is to try to team up again and try to put multiple projects together for grant funding, where it might help open up eyes and get additional funding. So yeah, it's SRF Consulting is the one that's performing the work. They're actually out of Minnesota. They do have offices in Wisconsin, but they will be putting the analysis together for each county. I will be presenting all this information to the traffic safety meeting committee that we meet quarterly. So all this information as we go forward will be presented to that committee as well as this committee as well. But as you can see, $500,000 federal grant, and then $125,000 of that is local, split 3 ways. So it's a huge benefit, in my opinion, that will open up the doors for additional funding going forward. Any questions on that? Okay, we'll go into the highway mowing operations, which people's phones are probably ringing off the hook about. So I just wanted to give you a little background. Obviously, we sprayed this year on the county system. We only sprayed 10 feet this year to try to help reduce the cost even more. From what I was told from the contractor that we purchased the herbicides from, is this has residuals for 2 years. So what we spray has supposed residuals for 2 years. So with that being said, I was thinking, well, let's try to reduce the overall capacity of what we spray then, if that's the case. So we just sprayed 10 feet this year versus the previous year we sprayed 22 feet. I did get a meeting. I did have somebody stop in here from the Department of Agriculture that was doing an investigation. They were very upfront and forthcoming, and they let me know what was going on, what was happening, who the phone call came from, and whatnot. But they have been receiving a number of phone calls from farm and agricultural lands with concerns what we're doing, that what we're spraying is ultimately affecting their crops.
But do you think that's been that half the problem is that they're encroaching on the right of way?
So this investigation, obviously, they are aware of this. Obviously, crops are planted to the shoulder of the road in some areas.
Yes, we are.
This particular incident, I gave them the plat of what road this was and where our right of way is, and I know what we purchased because this particular landowner did move some right of way pins when we first purchased this.
I see that too.
And I've like I said, I haven't seen the results of it, but they did take some soil samples and see what type of herbicides that ultimately affected the soybeans turning yellow. I would say it was the first 3-4 rows kind of turned yellow. This particular situation is not the only case. He was told he was been receiving a number of phone calls from Dunn County residents and in other surrounding counties. It's not just here. But obviously we get a lot of phone calls. What are we doing? What are you spraying? I'm an organic farmer. I don't want anything sprayed.
Mhm.
It's like, I hate to say it, we're doing a lot to try to reduce the cost, but yet we're getting a lot of flack and complaints about it. I just wanted to put kind of what our costs were. So in 2022, our cost for spraying, and mind you, this was 22 feet, was $195 a mile. Mowing 10 feet last year, we only mowed in the fall of last year, and I wanted to see what just one swath would cost. That came out to $129 a mile. Mind you, this does not include fuel and repair costs. This is literally just labor and equipment costs
On both sides,
on the mowing.
just the mowing.
So the spraying has everything, labor, materials, everything. I wanted to see what 2023 was. So 23 with only spraying 10 feet, reduce that cost to $143 a month. Mowing, we haven't mowed this year, so it's unknown. We just started this last week. But I did want to put in for a reference there. We did mow this year on the state system and it cost $217 a mile. So that's not fuel. I take that back. That's including all that because that's what we charge the state.
And that's one trip?
One trip,
Per
one
trip.
path, and I mean, mind you, on the state system, they probably go out a little bit further on intersections and they do a little bit more
Okay.
in areas.
But now,
I-
that's that 10 feet at $129 a mile, that's actually 2 miles, right? You got both sides?
This is including just center line, so yes, it's including both sides of the
Oh, okay.
road. Spraying and mowing.
Per road.
Correct. I can honestly say I'm getting to the point where I'm not 100% satisfied with the spraying. I do believe it does a good. It does great to combat the invasives, but other than that, I don't see it doing anything outside of that. It stunts it, I would say, for the first month or two, and then after that, you can't even tell it was done.
But aren't you actually saving, like, instead of mowing twice a year, you only have to mow once a year?
Correct.
You know,
Yes.
So that kind of,
So
Cost saving.
just the material cost of this herbicide, this last year, we paid $80,000 just for that material cost. I would beg to say the equipment, if we were to use tractors, would probably be less expensive than that. And that's just because we own it. If we charge our hourly rate, that's not to say any upkeep, maintenance, all that stuff. Obviously, we gotta buy tractors and
Yeah.
whatnot to sustain mowing operations.
but don't you think by just spraying 10 foot, you'd be a lot less complaints from the agriculture, the land, because you're not going up too far?
Didn't
We-
we this year?
We sprayed 10 feet this year.
And you're still getting complaints.
And we still get complaints. So a lot of that stuff, and it's out of our control is, I mean, if we try to monitor, and we did a lot better job of monitoring the wind.
Okay,
So we don't get any overspray as much as we did the previous year. But there's a lot of times where we spray it and it's dry, don't get me wrong, it's dry within probably 30 minutes to an hour that you can walk through it and not have any residuals on your clothing. The problem is a lot of times when we spray it, we'll get a torrential downpour that evening and it takes it off the plant basically and
spreads it out.
goes wherever there's a low spot in the field. We can't control that, and it's like, okay, if we're gonna sit there and monitor the weather every time we're gonna do this, and
You're
if
not
we
gonna
think it's
spray
gonna
it.
rain tomorrow, we're not gonna do it. So I'm actually leaning more toward going back to the mowing operations. My problem with the invasives too is we can control everything we want. The state doesn't do anything with their system.
Mhm.
So in my opinion, until the state tries to get on board with it, controlling these invasives, we're never gonna combat it. We're never gonna fight it. It's always just gonna keep spreading. We are doing our fair share to eliminate it on the county system, which I think we have in general. It's just, I don't know, we even mowed, obviously, the state and it doesn't even look like we mowed. I mean, it's already growing up. You get different seasonal grasses that come up and now we're seeing the more
And right
mid
now,
to late summer season grasses that come up after we mow.
Yeah, sure, you're always gonna have that. So
Would
like if you
you-
mowed your lawn once.
Could you change the herbicide that are more tolerant to corn and soybeans, because there's some herbicides you put over the crops that don't kill it.
Yeah, and
But yet they
and
still
I
get
don't
the
know.
broadleaf in the grass.
And it's very, very few and far between. Like I said, Brent probably takes more phone calls than I do about it. And I'm sure a lot of them are to the point where they don't even call us anymore. They just say, you guys are gonna spray regardless, so I'm going to the Department of Agriculture.
What did we do before? Just spray, cut once in the spring and then once in the fall, is that?
So what the state does is, we were always doing the state's policy is they mow in June in one cut.
Oh,
Okay.
And then they allow us to come through and do intersections as needed.
Hmm.
But they only allow one cut.
Is
Well,
that
what
the
did we
same?
what did we do on the county side
So-
before the chemical stuff? Did we do that?
We would mow twice.
That's what I was gonna say. that's what I
So
thought.
we would mow basically the same time as the state.
Yep.
And then we would come in and mow in the fall.
Yeah, okay.
I like that practice. Not better than spraying, I don't like to spray at all.
I'm honestly, I'm getting to the point where it's like, I don't see the huge benefit in spraying. Yes, it is probably cheaper if we look at it that way. But do we get the same outcome at the end of the year?
And your weather will play, it's the biggest factor in spraying, as we all know, you know. Like in our fields this year, and a lot of soybeans had to be resprayed, a lot of them. And that's what's happening this year. I know you went up W and you can't even tell that it was sprayed, not at all. On both sides of the road. I'm like, fuck, that's just my
And
opinion.
I would say even right now, if we were to mow W, we probably wouldn't even know we were mowing there too right now. I mean, it's just, I don't know what it was. All of a sudden, July, August came around and then all this tall, whatever kind of grass just skyrocketed. And you wouldn't think it would with the amount of rain we had. We haven't had any all summer, but
That come in the seed that you guys put down. Seriously, on, with that new part from the bridge to 64.
Yep.
There was some grass that, when you guys seeded that down, I don't know what it is. It looks pretty. I know a couple of guys go out and dig it up, and they put it in their yard, but it's really.
I have no
It's
idea.
dangerous. Yeah, I don't know what it is either.
Yeah, so like I said, with the number of phone calls we're getting, we started mowing operation, but I think we have 2 mowers out right now in the entire county, so it's the best we can do. I mean, we have
What do we
a
have?
lot
for
of
mowers?
paving.
What do we have for mowers?
6,
Oh, we do have that many
Bit
on
more.
hand, yeah.
yeah.
So that won't be the issue that we need to know.
No, we have everything to mow. I mean, that's not an issue. It's just, like I said, all counties are trying to reduce their costs as much as possible and finding ways to do it. But I'm not saying it's a perfect situation. St. Croix, I've talked to them, they have the same issues. And they've taken the stances. Too bad, we're spraying it and done.
I think it probably helps the invasive, but otherwise I don't think it's working with the darn, because I think, I mean, at some of those roads, I mean, the grass is that high, I mean.
Yeah. I agree, and I would say that first cut too is, it doesn't need to be all the way to the right away. I mean, if you make a 10-foot swath.
Right,
Right, exactly, yeah, just,
Something simple and,
people would be more happy with just 10 feet than anything else right
Yeah.
now.
yeah, and some counties elected to spray and some counties have, like Barron, they will not spray as far as I know, and they mow.
Why can't you spot spray these?
We could,
These
That's what I was just gonna say, yeah,
invasives, you
I
know?
agree with you.
yeah, exactly, we could.
If you see them as they're patrolling, I mean, you see something, I mean, I would think that would be something. That's again, you probably have to teach people what to look for, but I mean.
Yeah.
Again, if you see something like that coming up.
I think it's the same thing with the mowing aspect too.
Mhm.
There's certain areas that probably need a third cut,
Yeah, yeah.
Truly, yes.
especially
Very possible.
busy intersections, you know, where. You know, it becomes a vision thing with traffic, you know, I get the deer thing, we all get that part of it, you know, but. You know, there's some spots that.
And
We're
I,
gonna need a third cut, this one is.
and I guess the practice that everybody's trying to preach is no mow May. It's like, maybe we're mowing too early in June. Maybe we try to mow the first cut in July or something like that.
I would have to agree with that. You know,
Because we take basically the state's stance
Yeah.
is, we have to be done mowing by basically July 4th.
maybe if that's where when you start the county, maybe.
Yeah,
No,
correct,
yeah,
correct. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and just let you know what's going on, and yes, there is some evaluation going on what we're gonna try to do in the coming years or what, but
No.
I'm not 100% sold on the spraying currently. So,
I got a neighbor that's cut all the way down S from 810th all the way down to the town hall with his.
I-
Mower.
I love seeing that.
Meteor.
Okay, yeah.
Went all the way down W, we'll come back.
And we've had a number of farmers that have called in and said, if you don't spray where I farm, I will mow it. That's hard to do because this particular farmer is all over Dunn County, and it's like, okay, if we're doing it for you, now we're gonna be doing it for everybody. Yeah. So that's where it got to be an issue is I'm not gonna start playing favoritism and say this is where you're gonna do it.
No,
What-
can't
But
do that.
if you look back in history, at one time, the farmers were kind of responsible for land in front of their row, of their land and their buildings. You know, for snow removal and that kind of stuff.
But
Years ago, yeah.
I
And
mean,
all the milk trucks had a plow on, that's how the snow got moved.
Right, they even brought groceries.
a number of roads, the taxpayer does pay to the center line of the road, so they should maintain it.
If we could just use it, okay.
Wonder how many phone calls you get about that?
Yeah.
One.
I was gonna say, I got places that on the road on both sides, they wanna put a toll road in there, so don't even know.
My grandpa used to get the no collar. To move some snow, and he had enough equipment to kind of get it out of the way, and sure, when the no collar come, he'd say, we push those piles back. Spend 10-15 minutes, and how would he go? Awesome.
Yeah, more information to come on that.
Okay, sounds good.
As Dan mentioned before, the employee CDL tanker endorsements, so we are gonna require our employees, we have 21 employees that currently do not have tanker endorsements. So we are working with the DMV, we're looking at trying to get that done here in the next month.
But
We-
why they can't come out here and do it for whole group is
So all,
beyond me for savings.
all the testing has to be done on their system, and
Oh, okay.
so. According to the information that we actually got yesterday, we can have about 5 employees each time. So on average, it takes, they say a half hour to an hour test.
And
Can you do it like here?
Yeah, it would be in the
Oh,
middle
okay.
here.
Oh,
I thought maybe you had to go down to Eau Claire to get it done.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like-
like, it'd be,
That's not so bad. Then.
$15 a person.
so it's $15.
Do the guys pay that, or do we?
No, I take that back. So it's. Yeah, it's $15, 20 questions, and we have elected that the county will pay for this.
Yeah,
I am working, they did say we could cut a check to the DMV for the 21 employees, because that was the big question of how we pay for it. We have to have every employee
Right.
hand the county credit card and say, here you go. We actually did have one employee that took the initiative and went down there and did it himself, so we will have to reimburse him. So yeah, it's something that's needed, for anything 1,000 gallons or more, which we're probably one of the few counties that doesn't require a tanker endorsement. A lot of them do regardless. And obviously going forward with any new hires, this will be required. Sure. So
So is this good then for the lifetime of that employee, or is it every?
So
Every 4 years?
every 8 years, they have to renew it. So that cost will be put on to the employee at that. time. So it'll be renewed when they have to do their normal CDL. And I did misspeak there. It's $15, not 20, as I show on there. The Colfax salt shed, I just wanted you to be aware, so the DOT did award or grant us funding to install a new salt shed at our Colfax facility located on 170, just west of Colfax. We had an estimated cost of $285,000 to build a hoop style shed, just like what we did last year in Old Galley. With prep, asphalt paving, everything. Finished and complete was 285, so the DOT did award us $285,000. This was announced last month. Obviously, I did not have this budgeted. I wasn't gonna budget something if I didn't know what was gonna happen. So this will take place next year. I will be requesting additional funds, obviously, for a 2024 budget. This will be something the county will pay for upfront, but we will be reimbursed. So it's a wash. I gotta have the money there upfront to pay for it.
So how is the salt stored now then out there?
So we have two facilities right now. There's two timber salt sheds there, very small capacity. One's 325 tons and the other one is 225.
Okay,
Built in 72 and 87. We're not tearing those down. But what I have told our crew, if we have to stick money into it at some point in time, we're just not.
okay.
If we have to put a new roof on the timber or salt sheds, if we have to do something, at some point in time, we will demolish it.
What are you gonna do with them then? Just let them
So we'll put our salt sand in there and.
this year, but
Not this year. So salt, the two sheds are utilized right now because we don't have
no, I understand that.
so they're state salt only.
Oh,
It's just salt, not salt.
Yeah. So once
And
we
gotcha.
have a facility
Gotcha.
for the state salt, we will utilize these sheds for our
Gotcha.
salt sand.
Okay.
And like I said, at some point in time, they are gonna cost money to maintain and repair, so depending on what it is, we may say enough is enough and we're gonna demolish them. We do stick money into them obviously every year, but, at some point in time, we gotta cut the ties. We did submit, funding request for a salt shed in Boyceville. That shed was built in 76. The county actually paid for that one. That is a county shed. All these other ones are state owned, but on county property. That makes sense. So we are looking at trying to get funding for that as well. I will be adding that into our 2024 budget. If we use it, we use it. If we don't, we don't. It's like I said, it's a match. But that right now is we're estimating right around 300,000 just with inflation for 285 going up to 300. But yeah, that was not included in my original budget request in 24, so just be aware of that. Equipment updates. So obviously Dan mentioned a little bit of this as well, but we did receive our 3 1-ton pickup trucks. There's a picture of it on the bottom left. I just want to reiterate that truck right there was $50,000.
One on the left,
On the left.
So what are
Through the
those trucks
state
out there that they
pretty
look
good deal.
brand new and no license plates on them?
Yeah, so those are the trucks that we purchased off from Northtown, well, 2 months ago.
Okay, and this
Um,
came from the state then?
Yeah, these came off of a state contract,
Oh, okay.
out of Napleton, Chevy out of Columbus. We ordered them, I believe, in June, I think is when we got the okay to do it, and they showed up here in August. It was
Pretty good price.
Absolutely.
50 grand.
absolutely
I mean,
wonderful.
You're gonna go up on a lot and get one.
I can tell you, you will never ever find a better price than that.
No,
And they're nice trucks. I mean, they
Oh,
are
yeah.
work truck
They're work
models,
trucks, yeah.
but you, looking at it, you wouldn't think that.
No.
So with these 3 that came in, so we've got 5 new trucks this year. So with these 3 1-tons and then the 2 half-ton trucks.
Yeah.
So I drive one and Isaac drives the other one. For those half-tons, these 1-tons are gonna be put in the fleet. I hate to say it, like I say, take a picture of it, because that'll be the nicest it'll ever look. When you have 50 people that they drive it like it's rented, let's say that. Which I will reiterate again and again, but I can't be driving the truck every day while the employees are in it. But with that being said, we have gotten rid of 3 trucks already. 3 half-ton pickups were due to frames and rust issues that I was telling you about. But I told Dan we're getting rid of 2 more. I want 5 in, 5 out. So that particular truck, 107, it's a 2003 crew cab. Seen its better days. We are gonna get rid of that truck. And then we are looking at a 2010 Ford 1-ton or a half-ton 2006 Chevy half-ton. Dan is gonna have that truck brought in to see how the frame looks on it. Because unfortunately, back in the mid 2000s, the frames are the biggest issue on those Chevy. And that one truck, that Chevy half-ton that we utilize is our guardrail truck. So our crews kind of take that out on the interstate and drive through the median with it, and they drive it like it's a trailer. Let's just say that they pull it around with a skid steer, pull it through the snow. They do whatever they can to get it through there. I'm not looking at putting those trucks, the new trucks, into that role. So we are looking at, if we do get rid of 126, maybe we'll keep that 2010 and make that our guardrail truck. So like I said, 5 in, 5 out is my motto. So I did get an update with our 2 international tandem axle plow trucks. I did contact the dealer yesterday. He did say, according to his information that he got, that they started production yesterday. 2 out of the 4 that we ordered only. So mind you, these were trucks we ordered last year in 2022. They were supposed to be here in April, and obviously we're in September and we still don't have them. So they're anticipating once production starts, they will be 2 weeks to delivery. So we're anticipating hopefully end of the month here, early October at the very latest. The unfortunate thing is Universal, who has the bid to put all the plow equipment and box, all the hydraulics, everything on it, has the ability for 180 days to get that done. So we may not see these trucks until next year. It's unfortunate, but not much I can do. I've spoke with International because we did order 4 trucks for next year. They reassured me we will have all these trucks in June of next year, everyone that we've ordered. I am going to reevaluate it though, so I don't know if we're going to be taking all those trucks in one big chunk or not. I may have to reduce one of those trucks due to the sheer cost of what other stuff is going to be costing. So at a minimum, like I said, we're looking at, as of right now, there could be 8 trucks next year coming here.
And you can
Is what's
tell the
ordered.
factory, like what color you want, because you used to get white all the time, but you can say, hey, you want the red and that. Okay, same as a passenger vehicle.
Yep, and basically what I was told is you can order as many as you want. If you don't take as many as you want, we'll sell them to somebody else.
Yeah, sure, they could get rid of them.
So they're not gonna stop production, or they're not gonna stop the purchase order.
So then like later on this year, you have to have a budget forward then, right?
Yeah, we'll have a
Because-
carry forward.
Carry forward because you had the money budgeted, but it's not being spent this year.
Correct, yeah, so we will have a budget carry forward request,
Okay.
which will be a large dollar amount. So,
Yeah.
$1 million plus. So,
How much?
$1 million plus. Yep. Going into the highway financials, obviously, based on our projections, we're still projecting that $3.2 million budget surplus, which is good. Obviously, majority of that will be going to our B project that we were anticipating to complete this year. So that'll be another carry forward. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to present that to you. We're still projecting. We are going to be seeing a pretty significant invoices from Monarch starting here this month. So don't be alarmed when you see multi-million dollars worth of invoices coming out of the highway budget in October. So
So how are we doing going into November, December? for our winter maintenance, because we had a bad spring. Do we still have a little cushion, or is it gonna be just stay within budget?
Yeah, so if we look at our. If we look at our expenses, so if you look at our county winter maintenance right here,
Okay,
we've spent, almost 400,000 of a $1.3 million budget.
that isn't bad.
Should be good.
So we
It's
still,
gonna be a nice winter.
Yeah,
my,
easy on the table there. Hard on the part.
I'm trying to get everybody's voices.
I wanna better explain that though. There is no equipment cost in that. That's only labor and materials.
Hmm.
So when we budget that 1.3, it's everything.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So there is no equipment into that in SAP. And that's where it gets confusing, is we own the equipment. So that's why we're looking at going forward is how do we budget accordingly to show that?
sure.
Cause right now, 1.3 is our average, what it costs for labor, equipment and materials. What is shown in SAP is only labor, and labor, mind you, is not actual. It's a percentage base. So each employee has 100% of their labor allocated in different funds throughout the year. I want to see actual, but currently that's not how it's set up.
Okay.
So we might have had labor costs that were in the winter, might not be shown all in winter maintenance, if that makes sense. It could be
Okay,
in our fender pit, it could be in our salt storage, it could be all based on their percentage of allocation.
so the actual could be a little bit higher, probably is higher.
Yes.
Makes
If we were to look at SAP versus chems are actual numbers that we track off of their time cards.
Okay,
I would beg to say it's probably more than $1.3 million. If you were to look at it that way, but not in our SAP budget. So. I want them to match. So it's a heck of a lot easier for me to
Well-
decipher and to decipher that for you, so.
yeah.
We're working on it.
And we have to, like I said before, we have to charge ourselves to run our equipment.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we're never gonna be able to replace equipment.
Right.
Right.
So right now, like I said, that's allocated but not shown in SAP.
Which makes it as clear as mud, which is what we.
Well, it's a work in progress, so we can make this simplified and where everybody understands it.
Okay.
There's our revenue, obviously, that's neither here nor there, it changes every day, but. The one growing trend that I am concerned with, is our local governments. We're in the same boat as they are. Everything's costing more, so they're not doing projects like they used to. As you can see, we were budgeting 1.5, almost 1.6. We've only gotten about 708 or 867,000. So. We're still projecting that 1.6, but I don't know if I necessarily
So
agree
you're-
that it's gonna be that high.
To understand that, you're talking about the little townships that have you come in and do work that pay you back then,
Yes,
okay. There's less of that because of the higher cost of material and.
yeah, I mean,
The labor and.
we've typically will pay like 5 or 6 projects for the town. We'll haul base. I think we got one this year, 2.
Yeah, well,
Got Red Cedar.
I mean,
and then
it's-
you got Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, and Red Cedar's taking the stance where they're saving money in one budget to pay for a bigger project next year.
Yeah, it's a mess over there.
So a lot of towns are doing the same thing. They just, the half mile of paving they typically do, they're not doing now.
Mhm.
They don't have the funds to do it. But it is showing there. And we do have a pretty good significant chunk, I wanna say what, almost 300,000 for New Haven's project up there. Don't tell me where they get the money, I'm not gonna ask, but maybe it took them 5 years to get that, but. But yeah, any questions on the whole financial? That concludes my long-winded staff and commissioner reports.
So on that highway M, you know, what, like north of Colfax, or in that real estate bank, is that still being monitored by you guys? Who, you know, we were talking about get the Corps of Engineer coming out and, you know, that had nothing been done there. Is that being monitored
I'm
or?
not gonna lie, Gary, every time I drive by it, I look the other way.
Don't you have a mirror on your truck?
I always look right, I never look left, and when I'm going south, I look left instead of right, so
No.
it,
It don't look like there's a deep problem there, but it's
it,
straight down there.
I guess we have not monitored it in a while.
Okay.
Obviously, when we drive by it, visually see what we see, but we
Yeah.
have not physically gone out and poked our head over it.
Cause it seems like once you reshape it, you get the water to go down further before it goes down. That made a big difference.
Yeah, but it's not gonna get any better.
No.
Yeah, and I know at one point in time, we had a grant from the Army Corps to do it,
My
and it just
workout
kept
area.
going higher and higher.
Along that corner, the river's right there,
John's gonna,
Straight down.
maybe he's gonna do it himself and.
no guardrail, and maybe from here to the wall is
Well,
where
if
it's
it's walked
low,
down, you
right?
can
To
do a
where
lot
it
more
goes down.
without, yeah, permission, I mean, without.
See the river down there.
To do it ourselves would still be required to have Army Corps
On
involved.
that side,
It's not that
Probably.
simple.
40
Yeah.
feet.
It's not as simple as just throwing riprap over the side and
Down.
be done.
So if something goes off there.
Because where Adam lives, like we made a road go down the bottom.
Probably.
We got a bad spring with a lot of rain, a lot of snow melt. Once it goes to the top, so it's all gravel, and that washed so quick,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. That's the,
Somebody's car.
got gravel there all the way down. That's not very stable at all, you know? I see some trees have fallen down, but that might have been a couple years ago too, if you
Think if there is.
sloped off there, so.
Ideally, if they would realign the actual river,
Maybe should.
honestly, there's historical data that shows the river went further to
Oh.
the west. And it's just propagated closer to the road now. It's
Okay.
migrated over the years. And it
Mhm.
just continues to be going down that path,
They
but
won't do that.
No.
That section of the river must be eroded, you know, kind of erodible soils because the
yeah,
other side
it's
on
literally
Woodville,
all sand.
we're having
Yeah,
issues.
gravel.
Yeah,
Along
I have that
every year.
river once, you'll see it, there's so many banks that are just washed.
So yeah, that's not the
It's
only
just,
one.
but that's the closest one to the road except for Colfax and another road.
Yeah.
Where are you talking on W? You said you were gonna do some work south of.
Just south of S where the river gets really close to W,
No.
where they kind of have that little turn off for people.
Oh, fishing there?
Servant's mailbox. Well, that's people doing that.
No, it's actually undermining the shoulder. You can't see it
Oh,
until you actually
oh.
get out and physically look at it.
Oh,
Just north of that stop, there's a little island.
There's like a little island out in
Yeah.
the river.
Yeah.
What is it, maybe 100 feet?
Yeah, 150.
to the north. From that.
Yes, north of where they kind of park and
Yeah,
fish or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, geez, I'm gonna have to drive careful.
Maybe 300 yards north of that parking area.
That's. Oh, yeah.
That's Herman's mailbox. I never.
That's fine. Yeah, it's where Herman's mailbox always was.
Okay, I didn't.
I always thought that was just a turn off for everybody to.
Oh, it's Herman's mailbox.
A lot of kayakers like going there.
Down the road, you got Pete's Pole. But I can, I get that. I mean, that's when my grandpa always taught me, hey, we're going down here,
Yeah,
we're going down by, blah, 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 you know, and, okay, I know what you mean. He
It's
said
quite-
now it going down by 900th Street. Where the heck is
Yeah.
900th Street? Herman's mailbox, I know. but-
I know when I first started here, all the old timers were basically, oh, it's on Stanky Hill, it's on this hill, it's this curve, it's like. What is that?
yeah.
Right, I still don't know where it is, but.
All right, thanks, Dustin. Any other questions for Dustin before we go on to? All right, 7A, approve vouchers. Need a motion?
Move your approve.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Any questions on the vouchers?
Either one.
I gotta stump them sometimes.
Gosh, we're doing good.
All right,
Throw it in there till we find it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to approve. 7B, 2023 bridge petition.
I'll make a motion that we proceed with those applications. for the bridge.
Second.
petition.
Second. Discussion. No discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Number 8, none. Next meeting, October 11th, same place, same time. We're adjourned.